Arsenal goalkeeping, goaltending, I should say. I'm still thinking soccer. I'm still thinking about my Arsenal. But we still got that going. I mean, we didn't have to make any moves. I think this team's clearly already there. I think the Rangers. I think it's just going to be us two right there for the Eastern. I don't really see anyone else coming out of there. I think the Rangers just loaded up right there. They got so much depth now. So I'm a little scared, Josh, but not too worried. Bruins are on a historic pace right now. We're still growing, so no injuries. Everyone's back right now. So I think just looking at the teams right now, Josh, I wouldn't be too worried. Uh, like I said, everyone knows I'm all in on the Bruins. A little tougher on the Celtics, but all on the Bruins. Let's continue this magical run, Josh.
For sure, both of these Eastern Conference teams as well, NBA, Celtics, NHL. For the Bruins, right now we're sitting 46 wins, 8 losses, 97 points, first in the NHL. I'm feeling good. I know the Hurricanes, the Carolina Hurricanes have been chasing our tail. They've got 86 points. They're on a roll. They also eliminated us last year in the playoffs, so those are some pretty big things to kind of put into factor there. But the Patrick Kane trade, I think, is huge just in general for the Rangers. I've always been in on the Rangers. I'm a big fan of Zibanejad. They've got a pretty good team, Panarin. And it's one of those things where Tarasenko as well. That's one of the trades I was completely blanking on. So they're all in. I like that move for the Rangers, too. You're looking at them right now, 77 points. They, I believe, are a wild card. Yes, they are the third wild card team. So kind of a lot to consider here for the Bruins. And if you're a Bruins fan, I like what the Bruins have done. I think I'm cool with the fact they didn't trade Taylor Hall. I know we've kind of talked about that in the past, Ben. But you look at the Bruins, I think we're fine. And I think the Eastern Conference has gotten better. It worries me a little bit, but at the same time, I still think the Bruins are the clear-cut best team in the NHL. They kind of remind me of the Tampa Bay Lightning in ways, too, where, you look at that sustained run that they had, that dynasty that they had. They were just unbelievable. They still are a really good team, but it really takes me back to a couple years ago. Not last year, because I felt like the Lightning were a little shaky, even though they won the championship. But 2 years ago, I feel like is kind of what the Bruins remind me of a little bit, Ben. I think we're Ben took off for a second. Hopefully he will be back. Technical difficulty issues. However, sticking to the Bruins, wanted to talk about one of the biggest things, and I feel like kind of went under the radar. Linus Ullmark, his goal. That was kind of a big thing for the Bruins. I think it was Jeremy Swayman had tweeted online that he's been searching for a goal as a goalie. He didn't get it. His counterpiece in Linus Ullmark got it. But overall, we're starting the show. Bruins, we've kind of got a good reign on it. Seems to me like me and Ben both feel the Bruins shouldn't worry too much about some other teams in the Eastern Conference. I know the Penguins as well. That's a team that does scare me if you're a Bruins fan. But again, I like what the Bruins have been doing. Back to the Ullmark thing. First goalie in a long time for the Bruins to score a goal, even though it was an empty netter. Big credit to him for that. And I like the sustainability of the Bruins from what we've seen. I know Ben should be back in a second here. But I know, this Bruins team isn't going anywhere. Kind of, I would say, locked up that first seed. I know we've got a little bit over 2 months left of hockey to go. I personally think that the Bruins will lock up that number 1 seed. They've got an interesting game tonight against the Calgary Flames. 46-8. You look at the Bruins. They just finishing up that road stretch. They cleared it, won those 3 games. And you look at one of their next games. Sabres, Rangers, Oilers. Just beat the Oilers as well. But you're looking at, for the Bruins, I believe it is, it's a 7-game win streak. I know that they cleared that Eastern Conference. that road stretch for the Bruins. But teams like the Maple Leafs as well, second in our division, in the Atlantic Division. They're chasing our tail. Got to watch out for them. I know that's kind of been the theme of this podcast to start, is how concerned we are with the Bruins in the Eastern Conference. We're getting Ben back in here. But yeah, overall, as a Bruins fan, I would say I'm not too concerned. Yeah, the dual goaltending is a huge thing. And Mitchell LeBlanc. Hey, it's tough to do the show by myself, Mitch. 7:45 here, yet need the UFC Lord. He will be here. I'm excited. I've got some interesting questions. Me and Ben are going to rattle off to him. We're starting Bruins. We're going to go Bruins for another couple minutes. But Ben, I think while you were gone, I was kind of just catching everybody up. We're on a 7-game win streak. We've won on the road. Won 3 games on the road. So we've been able to kind of handle that. However, I was saying teams like the Maple Leafs are on our trail. We got the Penguins. I'm not too concerned about those teams. I kind of agree with you. I know your overall sentence was, the Bruins being able to kind of handle business. And yeah, Denise, I said the goalie scored a goal. Welcome in Xander too. Xander Much. I'm glad that you were able to kind of make it in. Quick little shout out to Xander, who's using Twitch. I like that. I respect that. We've also got Holly in here going to the Celtics game with your mom tomorrow night. What's your take on the win, Celtics or Cavs? We will get to that shortly, so hold on to that one. Let's go Celtics. We will be there. But wrapping up on the Bruins, Ben. Huge trades. Moving forward, let's just, I'll catch you up with what I was saying with everybody else too. Moving forward, we've got the Flames on the road. Then we come back home for a nice little home game stretch of the Sabres, Rangers, Oilers, Red Wings. Ben, do we hold the number 1 seed?
I think we do. That Edmonton game really proved something to me, Josh. I think we can hang with the best. Edmonton making some good moves at the trade deadline too. But I think this Boston team is for real. I think we're going to be able to hang with those teams. Like I said, I'm not too worried about the Maple Leafs, Josh. I know he's worried about some of these teams trailing us. That was a good call with the Tarasenko. I was kind of blanking on that one. That was a huge one for them earlier in the month. And adding Patrick Kane now, too. They didn't really they thought they were just going to get one of the two and ended up getting both of them. So that's huge for them. Maple Leafs, maybe it's just my own Bruins fan in me, but I don't know. I think we always got them. Probably could bite me in saying that in this one, but I think we're still just with the surge right now. What everyone's playing with this last season for Krejci and Bergeron. I think there's just something with this team chasing this all-time wins in a season, most points for. This team's just clicking. Everyone's back healthy. So I think we could definitely wrap it up at the number 1 seed, Josh, over here, and I think that's going to be huge because I want that home ice going forward in this playoffs. I think that could be a huge benefit to us, and just sort of send these guys off on the right note, Josh. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to stick with that one. I think we can finish out number 1 in the East. A tougher East, Josh, too. The East has been a little better than the West this year so far.
Percent didn't want this one trade of Dmitry Orlov, who has been very solid in his career, and joining the Bruins. Nice little piece there that we added. I completely blanked on that one. So I agree with Ben. I'm all in on the Bruins. I think this is something to be concerned about, just to keep an eye out, kind of peek through the blinds. It's not like we're pressing all panic alarms or anything, but I do like what the Bruins have to offer. I think of the 2 Boston teams, I'm more confident in the Bruins, as crazy as that is. I know I've kind of went back and forth. I've kind of stayed on that for most of the way. But, yeah, I like what I'm seeing out of the Bruins. I liked what I saw of some of the other teams as well. I like the aggressiveness from teams like the Canes, Rangers as well. 2 of those teams that were kind of middling teams trying to make their way up. Maple Leafs shouldn't be a middling team because they're stacked, but you get the point there. So, yep, we're off. We're starting. We're going to move forward a little bit with the Celtics. And I think we've already been getting a decent amount of questions rolling in with the Celtics. So Celtics moved down. They dropped down to the 2 seed. We've got Holly coming in here with a question. What's your take on the win, Celtics or Cavs? So who do we got tomorrow night? I got the Celtics. I will say the Cavs have been a huge pest in the Celtics, or thorn in the Celtics' back. I feel like That's a team we haven't beaten this season. We just dropped a game to the Knicks as well. We're going to be playing the Knicks again soon. We've got a tough, interesting stretch coming up. I got the Celtics tomorrow, but I think it'll be a challenging one. I want to see this team kind of mesh with everybody back. I know injuries, guys have been coming in and out of the lineup. And I think the Cavs are a good test for the Celtics to really see, we're shooting for the stars for that number one seed. I think the Celtics can handle that and getting that. But yeah, Ben, I like what the Celtics are doing. I'm a little concerned about the Bucks because the Bucks have won and a made like 13 straight, something like that. I can check that in a second. But yeah, I think we should be a little. I think we're really concerned about the Bucks, to be honest. I am at least. I like the Celtics' chances to go far, but the Bucks taking that number one seed and on a roll scares me a little bit. In this weird thing with Celtics not being able to win in Madison Square Garden, I can't get over. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, Josh, that's a sneaky good Knicks team over there, winning six straight. They got a nice little trade addition to in Josh Hart, but they got some good bigs in Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle. And listen, I made fun of that free agency. I thought they overpaid for him this offseason. Not going to lie, but I mean, Jalen Brunson's really stepping up, being a leader over there. They got a nice 1-2 punch with him and RJ Barrett. So, I mean, listen, losing to the Knicks, I know everyone's getting on our case. But like I said, that's I believe, actually, they're the fourth seed. It's either the fourth or fifth. I could double check that actually. But I mean, it's a fourth or fifth seed, excuse me. But I mean, that's a respectable one from the Knicks. You don't really see the Knicks teetering over there like that. So this is a different Knicks team. This isn't your, Knicks team of past that we've been seeing. They're pretty good over there. I could even say, I know we got some Trailblazers fans out there. I even maybe take the Knicks over the Trailblazers right now. I know obviously Dame is much better than anyone on both rosters. But I mean, if we're looking at the rosters as a whole, I might take the Knicks right now. But looking at Charlie's question and Mitch's, I'll answer both of them. Who's the scariest teams in both the East? I mean, hockey. I'm going to stick with the Rangers. I still think those trade additions, put them over the top. And, as Josh mentioned, the Hurricanes did knock us out, beat us at home every time last year. So I'll put them as a little backup over there because I kind of just want to beat the Hurricanes. And the Celtics, Josh took them. Yeah, we got to get back. That was a little rough, Josh, last year. I know we got some wins at home, but not being able to just beat them at their place, that was hurt. That was a tough one to watch. So we got that for the Bruins. For the Celtics, I'm going to have to copy Josh on that one. It's just the Bucks. 76ers gave us a good game. That's obviously going to be match up with them some, in a series that's going to be classic. But, I think we can match up better and, more well over there with that one. Bucks, it's a little tougher. I think the Bucks can actually, take this team. Giannis is just, on a different planet. That roster's a little deeper. 76ers would just always have their number. I think we can play better against them. So I'm scared of the Bucks. I'm not really scared of the Cavs, Josh. I think we just need to get this win. This Cavs rosters, they're kind of mellowing out over here. They're kind of, they're a good team. I'm not going to lie. But I think we can take this team. I don't think they're there yet. They got some good pieces. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell. But I don't think they're there yet. I think they're a couple pieces away. So I think we just get this win, get over this hump, and we'll be ready to go. But I'm really only scared of the Bucks. I hate to just copy right there, but I mean, it's us and the Bucks.
It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. I would say, to answer Charlie's question and Mitch, I think we both kind of answered it. I think the Hurricanes. I'll say
hate the Hurricanes.
Yeah, the Hurricanes kind of are the thorn for the Bruins. I would say the Bucks as well. They took us to a clear battle last year without Chris Middleton. They got him back this year. Plus, I like some of the moves. They went out and got Joe Ingles. I like that move a lot. I think both teams are in very similar situations. I think the Bruins I feel more confident in because I know the Celtics are loaded too, and they made the right decisions that they had to make too at the deadline. I love the Brogdon acquisition. I love the fact we went out and got Derek White last year. I'm all in on this Celtics team as well, but the reason I feel better about the Bruins is because they've been able to, and no pun intended, just avalanche through the whole NHL standings. They're going for that President's Cup trophy. I just don't see them losing to anybody. Like, I know that the Eastern Conference has gotten better in the NHL. I don't know. I don't think that there's anybody who stands in the way of them. I think this team is hungry. You look at Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, all those guys. David Krejci, who came back this year. All those guys are hungry for a ring, and nothing's going to get in their way to grab it. And on the other side of the Celtics, I know we're kind of flipping back and forth. I think this team's still a little inexperienced, and I think the Bucks are not to be messed with. I think it's one of those things where having home court advantage is going to be massive in the NBA playoffs, not in the finals, excuse me. Of course, it's important there, but that's what I would want to say with that. And Tyler, I want to see blood with the Hurricanes as well. I'm kind of pissed that they eliminated us last year, so you got that one.
I agree with that one completely. And I mean, NHL, well, you've already mentioned the trade acquisitions for the Rangers and all that, but I mean, I don't really see clear, contender right there, right, right next to the Bruins. I mean, the Bruins, like Josh said, have been an avalanche through this whole schedule, this whole NHL. They've been setting records throughout this whole season. So Celtics, the Bucks, we've got this rivalry going. Giannis is just the greatest player in the NBA right now. He's the greatest player in the world. So, I mean, you're always going to give him a chance against us. And like Josh mentioned, Chris Middleton out last year, and they still took us to that great series. So, I mean, if you get him back, add some depth over there. I like that Ingles move, like you mentioned. I mean, Grayson Allen's playing decent. Those role players are playing, they're playing well. They're doing their job over there. They're getting healthy at the right time. That's just Giannis. I just can't get over that factor. We've dealt with all those LeBron years so many times, and just dealing with just that one player that can change up the whole game. And we saw what happened with LeBron, and we're seeing glimpses with Giannis and everything. So hopefully we can contain that, and I think we will. But like Josh said, and I said on this one, I think the Bruins are just. I feel like a little team of destiny right now. They all sort of rallying around this sort of last year vibes. And, that's why I just give it a little more confidence with the Bruins. But Celtics, just going back to that, and going back to the whole point of this too. I don't discredit them for that Knicks loss, Josh. That Knicks loss, it's going to happen. But now it's time to get a little more serious with some of the games, and if we're gonna live and die by the three, we can't be complaining about it. This team's gonna shoot a lot of threes. We hit a lot of threes. Some of the games we don't hit them. So I mean, if we're gonna live by the three, we gotta die by it. So we gotta just remember that.
100% Ben. Tomorrow. Sticking on the Celtics here. Celtics got the Cavs. I mentioned them. They have just had our number this year. Big game there. Young Cavs team as well there. Got Donovan Mitchell, who's having a career year. Then we've got the Nets and the Knicks, as you've mentioned. Then we go back to Cleveland to play the Cavs. And then the Trailblazers, Jared's team, as we hinted on a little bit earlier through Ben.
Nice. Dig, Josh.
Yeah, I know you got that dig in there. And hey, 71 points from Damian Lillard. Unbelievable. We have to talk about that on the podcast. Like, just quick little pause on the Celtics stuff. You see that's their stretch. I think the point that I was trying to make there was, they got the Knicks and the Cavs a couple times within that schedule. It's going to be tough to get through. But let's pause. We're going to get to some NBA stuff before we turn over to the UFC. That's our main event. Another pun there. Of the show, our main event a little bit later. We'll get to the UFC. We'll have Mitch. No, not Mitch. We'll have Cam LeBlanc join the show. He's been dying to get on. Mr. UFC is what some people call him. Mitch is going to be hearing it. He's going to be, Mitch is his brother. He's going to be watching. I got the names jumbled. But we're talking Portland Trailblazers. We're talking Damian Lillard. We're going to dive a little bit more into some of the stuff going on in the NBA. We've got Russell Westbrook joining the Clippers. We'll talk about that, see how me and Ben feel about that. We've got LeBron James going to be out for a little bit. D'Angelo Russell's done. And Damian Lillard, 71 points. I think that's so funny. We were talking about this in our group chat. Everybody was all over Jared, and then all of a sudden, Damian Lillard comes out and goes insane. I know it was against the worst team in the league, but 71 points is 71 points, Ben. I threw a lot at the wall. Tell me what sticks.
Yeah, hey, I'm going to get to that Russell Westbrook one, too. want to get to that Joey's question. Joey's a nice one. Who do we have coming out the West?
Go, Joey.
I kind of
Welcome,
want to
Joey.
connect that one over there. I kind of want to connect that one. Maybe I see an LA team coming out the West. Just saying, it's not the Lakers, trust me.
Ooh,
But
I
I
agree
just
with
want to
that.
say that one. I want to get that one in there a little. But no, no, sorry, I just kind of lost track. What was the question, Josh? What was the first one?
So we
What
were
was
talking about
the first
Damian
subject?
Lillard.
The Damian Lillard one. There we go. Damian Lillard. I kind of wanted to get into that Russell Westbrook. He's gonna be going with that Russell Westbrook
Go
one
ahead.
right there.
Hop into it.
No, no,
Damian
no,
Lillard
no.
scored 71. It is what it
Damian
is.
Lillard. I'm just giving a hard time to those Trailblazers fans over there. Now it was just crazy. I mean, he didn't even sort of play in that fourth quarter too. He sort of took the foot off the gas right there. I just like to tease those Trailblazers. Listen, he scored 71, and I felt like everyone talked about it a little, and then everyone kind of swept it away because it's Portland and stuff. They don't have a cast for him, Josh. They don't have players around Dame to sort of highlight these games a little more. So we got to give a little more credit. But yeah, I mean, 22 for 38, Josh. That was an efficient game from him shooting. Like I said, he barely played the fourth. I mean, if it was a good game, if it wasn't against the Rockets, he probably would have put up in the high 80s, 90s. I mean, he just kind of took it a little easy at the end of the game. Just showcases how great he is. I usually will probably take this time to say maybe you should get out of Portland. Maybe you should go showcase it somewhere else. But I mean, you got to give the credit to him. I mean, he just, he's one of the best scorers out there. Um, Unfortunately, I think, just being out in Portland, I hate to be the damper of it, Josh. I hate to go this way with the take, but I
I
mean,
know
I
you're
think,
going.
it just stinks. He should get a little more credit than he deserves. But that he gets, I should say. But just being out there and it just doesn't get the credit he deserves. So great performance from Dame over there. I still got the Lakers getting over the Trailblazers. I just want to put that out there. Still got the Lakers getting over them in the play-in, even with this LeBron injury. We can get to that too. Uh, but Dame, one of the best out there, best scorers, but Portland's going to bring him down, Josh. I think he's got to get out.
That's something we've been waiting for a long time. Yeah, Joey, come with that question you kind of touched up on. Who's coming out of the West in the NBA? I've had that hunch about the Clippers as well. It's funny you say that. I hate the Russell Westbrook signing, though. I loved what they did during the deadline, though. Brought in Eric Gordon. I'm a big Marcus Morris fan. Obviously, they've had him on their bench. Zubox, they feel big about. They've got Kawhi Leonard finally playing, and they're 9-2 when he plays this season. I just have this weird feeling about them. I don't believe in the Nuggets. I think it's hard, and this is a point that James has mentioned multiple times on the show and off the show. It's hard to win with a big man in the NBA. It's just, especially in the playoffs, things start to shrink. That's why you see teams like the 76ers and the Nuggets start to struggle. They just can't get over that hump. So I think the Nuggets, you're calling on guys like Jamal Murray to have that reminiscence of the bubble year for the playoffs this year. You also look at Grizzlies. I still think they're too young. I think this Clippers team and the Nuggets team, I'm going to put them on the spot here. It's kind of put up or shut up mode for both of those teams. Every year it seems like the Nuggets, when are they going to do it? When are they going to do it? They've got this three-time MVP caliber player who we all know he is who he is, but can they do it? Can they go over the hump? Can they even make it to the championship? You look at the Suns. You see the Phoenix Suns. They added Kevin Durant. I think on paper, to answer Joey's question, I think they should be the team to come out of the West just because that team's already stacked and they went out and got the best offensive player in the league, in my opinion, in Kevin Durant when he's healthy. However, I got a weird feeling about the Clippers as well, Ben. I don't know if they go all the way, but I have a feeling that they make a deep run. My hunch diminished a little bit with Russell Westbrook joining, but I'm a man of my word. I'll stick to my gut. I think the Clippers are going to make a nice little run. Something about it, I feel. And to answer Kendra's question, Celtics Cavs tomorrow night. I have the Celtics winning. I think it'll be a close one though, because history says this season the Cavs have the Celtics number. And Mitch, I'm going to get to that comment in a couple minutes. Right after we get into the NBA stuff, I got a couple names that I'm going to fly off the radar for you.
Josh can take that one.
With
I like from the
Red
outfielders,
Sox.
Josh.
But yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about, LeBron James. What do we think with that? Are we done on the Lakers, Ben? It's been all over ESPN and everything. Are we They seemed like they finally started to get it going, and
There you
now
go.
they're looking at the playoffs again. They're looking from outside of the playoffs.
It's amazing, Josh. As soon as you said Lakers, Rob joins. I see that little bubble in the chat. Rob has joined. Rob's watching now. So as soon as you mentioned his Lakers, he wants to tune in. He's going to be happy too. I think they do sneak in. I think the West is just, like I mentioned, the Trailblazers, OKC, Timberwolves. Some of these other teams are going to sort of fall apart. Come back to normal, come back to the earth a little. And I think those additions at the trade deadline are going to save him, Josh. I think D'Angelo Russell avoiding that major ankle injury, thankfully for them. AD's looking like AD again. Jared Vanderbilt. I mean, I'm so surprised that was one of the guys low key that sort of got swept under the rug during this trade. He was a high draft pick. He's a good 3-and-D guy for them. So I mean, they had some good young talent. Mo Bamba, obviously, and Malik Beasley have been huge for them as well. Just role players. I hate to be bringing Rob all this good news and back to Rob in this corner, Josh. But I think the Lakers will be fine without this. Without LeBron, they're obviously going to struggle. Points. I think they're still getting the play-in game. I think they got
Fine,
enough talent
really.
now. Oh yeah, oh yeah. If they didn't make any of these trades, if Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly were still there, they could have probably just packed the bags and called the season a wrap. If LeBron got hurt, they could have all just gone their separate ways. But they got an actual team now, Josh. So it stinks, I mean, they just completed, of course, they completed that great comeback win over the Mavericks, 27, racing that 27 deficit. And we haven't even talked about that team too, Josh. Kyrie and Luca, they looked hot in the beginning, but now they kind of cooled down over there. What's going on with them? But I think the Lakers will be fine. Tough, I thought the Lakers could have got a little more momentum going into the playoffs if LeBron, avoided this injury. But hopefully, he can be back time for the play-ins, or if they can get a little, even if they can get a little run in there and sneak into a non-play-in seed. I think they'll be ready to go. I like this Lakers team. Am I saying they're going to make a deep run? No, but I could see them, with LeBron returning. I could see them winning around.
That's interesting. I think you look at. It's funny. I think the Lakers are done. I do. I think depending on however long LeBron James is out, I mean he's clearly their best player. It's kind of sad to see because his consistency's been great, but over the past couple years, injuries, sustainability, getting older. I mean it's a part of life. He hasn't been able to kind of sustain that health factor. But I think he's clearly the best player when he's out there. I think you're looking at the Jazz somehow are like hanging around. They're like an unsung thing. I thought they were going to completely plummet, but Timberwolves I don't believe in. But the Trailblazers and Pelicans, I think those two teams, you look at the Thunder as well, a nice young team I'm high on. Not high on for this year, but for the future. All those teams can pose a huge threat to the Lakers. I'm going to go devil's advocate here and say the Lakers don't even make the play-in. I think there's too much pressure.
Oh, Josh, that's not like the Lakers.
You're looking at they would either have to be a 7, 8, or 9, or 10 seed. I think we kind of forget about the Pelicans plummeting too, but they've still got a lot of talent. Another situation there with injuries and sustainability in Zion Williamson. I think that they'll figure it out. Something about the Lakers. Anthony Davis is going to go down again. They're going to have nobody to lean on. They lost Russell Westbrook. Not that that means anything, but besides him, they have like no stars. I know they went out and made a couple trades. I like Vanderbilt. I know he kind of held Luka Doncic in check, but I'm not crazy on this Lakers team. There's always something. Somebody's always hurt. I thought the bubble year was their all-in year. And I know Mitch coming in here chirping at Rob. I think he's right. I'm sorry. I don't think this Lakers team is going to do anything. And Mitch coming in. What team is Rob still rooting for this week? The Suns. He could be back in on that train. I know he's got the jersey for that. But yeah, I'm not crazy about the Lakers like you are. I don't know why. I got a hunch for the other LA team, and that's the Clippers. But I don't think they make the play-in. I think the Trailblazers make it over them. Bold take.
Get the Trailblazers out of here. Listen, I love Dame. It's not going to sound like Amanda. I forgot. That's what I wanted to say too. I'm qualifying that Clippers take to come out the West, I was just going to say we could take anybody but the Suns. I mean, the Suns is an easy one right now to say, like Josh mentioned on paper, the Suns should come out the West. So, I mean, that's the easy pick right there. I don't want to go the easy way. Obviously, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and eventually KD. When you got them all, and they didn't even have to give up Aiden. If you got all those guys on the court at the same time, they're going to be the favorites. But I know I got to disagree with Josh on this one. I know I've been seeing a lot of Russell Westbrook hate. I've been trying to see which way to lean on this one. But I'm in favor of this move to LA. I think on the other side of LA. Listen, I like it. I still think he's got some. He's still got some juice in him. He still can make. I mean, he's a 14-6-6 guy. I mean, the Clippers are going to take that. And that's an upgrade from John Wall. That's for sure for the Clippers. And adding that Mason Plumlee, that was a good move. But I get all the hate for Russell Westbrook. I mean, there's a reason he's left all these teams. He's probably not the most easy guy to play with, especially his playing style too. Definitely suited him when he was younger, and he really hasn't transitioned into sort of getting a little older. Even though he still has the athleticism, he just really hasn't transitioned that game yet. But I still think he's got some juice in the tank. I still think he can help this Clippers team out, become a viable option over there. Him and Paul George, from those OKC days, they get along well. So you got a guy that he's familiar with over there. Good environment for him to play in. So I'm going to join the Russell Westbrook side. I know Lewis is on that side. I know it's not too many people over there, but listen, I see Russell Westbrook get a lot of hate. But I'm going to stick on this one. I think the Clippers come out the West. Obviously, we're excluding the Suns, but it's a boring pick, Josh.
I agree with you. I think the Suns is the clear-cut favorite, in terms of just on paper. That's kind of the word I've been going with here. You look at that team, they're just, how can you not deny them? Mitch asked a very good question before we turn it over, because we got Cam LeBlanc joining soon. The viewership is very good tonight. I also want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Stick with us for week to week. We are actually having an agenda-free show next week, so wanted to announce that is going to happen. But Mitch asking a very big question, and I've got some answers for you. Who do you guys think will be the biggest surprise out of the Red Sox spring training? Loaded question there. There's a couple guys that I like a lot. I've always been big on Tanner Houck. I think that they never really gave him the clear chance. They haven't really been able to find, a spot for him. They had him in the bullpen and they had him starting. He was excellent in the bullpen, by the way. His bullpen numbers are unbelievable. But then they kind of moved him out. Couldn't really find a place for himself last year. Had a lot of stock the year before. I like a different guy, though. I like a guy who is a seasoned vet. The Red Sox actually grabbed him, not this year, but last year. He was out all year last year. He is a pitcher who I think could make some good starting. He could be in the starting lineup, excuse me. And he kind of reminds me, if you're a diehard Red Sox fan, you'll understand where I'm going. He reminds me of what Wacha did for the Red Sox. Michael Wacha came in. He had a very decent year last year. That's James Paxton. He had the shoulder thing. He's had a full year off. He's got the resume with Seattle. I mean, this guy was unbelievable before his injuries. That's another thing. It seems like another trend of the show is just injuries and sustainability. James Paxton is the guy that I would have to circle on your list. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think James Paxton is that guy that's going to come out of spring training and maybe prove some people wrong. I'm not sure. I have to look more into his timeline. Last thing I read was he was going to play this year. And I think just the moves that they made, they went out and got Kenley Jansen, upgrading the bullpen. Love that move. I think that'll kind of help out. And once James Paxton gets his way back, I think he'll surprise some people as well, especially with a shaky Chris Sale. There's a lot of question marks for the Red Sox. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs this year. Sorry to say. Coming from the Yankees fan, whatever. Get all that stuff out. But I personally think James Paxton is going to shock some people this year. I think a lot of people are forgetting about him. I got to look up onto when he'll be back, but yeah, James Paxton for me.
I'm gonna go with Adam Duvall, Josh. I think some of this outfield play, it's little sneaky ones out there. We've got some good outfield play in spring training so far. So listen, I haven't been really going too in depth with it, but yeah, this is gonna be. I think it could be a little sneaky signing for us. Produce some solid play out there. We need some of it. Duval. There we go, Cody. Come on, we got him with that Duval, and we could produce a great chant with it. I think it'll be great at Fenway with that one. But just love him from the Braves. I remembered him over there from those days. I think it'll be a solid addition for us in this Red Sox team, Josh. Worst to first. Hopefully, we can keep applying that strategy, employing that strategy, I should say, and sort of hopefully get us back on the right track this year.
100%.
Get a little too excited for the UFC, Josh. Sorry, UFC time.
And guess what? We're right on the cusp of that. We're waiting for Cam. He can join at any moment now. We could finish the last remaining 20 minutes with UFC. We've got a jam-packed house here for everybody. Welcome in Cody. I want to say first-time commenter here. Joey Femia, love having you in here, bud. Same with Mitchell LeBlanc. Want to see you guys more on the regular. And Xander, feel free to hop in more, bud. Get yourself in here. We've got a lot kind of rolling here. Yeah, the more the merrier, as always. That's the theme here on Timeout Talks. But to wrap it up, another one for the Red Sox I like, Kenley Jansen. I mentioned him a little bit. I think you looked at some of the issues with the closers last year. The Red Sox didn't have that clear-cut closer. Garrett Whitlock was overall an absolute gem for them, but they had him in the bullpen. They had him starting. I don't know how I feel about him in the bullpen. I think he should be an actual starter this year. I think you're all in on Garrett Whitlock. Go all in. I think, 4 or 5 inning guy. I'm not saying he needs to go out there and be your ace and pitch all the time, but I think the Red Sox have a lot of shaky question marks, and I think they need that building block of a guy. I don't think it's going to be Chris Sale. Too many injuries with him, and I think a young ace, a young buck like Garrett Whitlock could be the guy, and adding Kenley Jansen can maybe help to ease some of those nerves. Mitch saying over under 74 wins. I'll say they go.
Tough one, Josh. I want to see where Josh goes with this one.
I'll say under. Right around or under.
Wow,
I'll say they go under.
Wow,
I don't know how I feel about the Red Sox this year. Way too many question marks. I'll say under.
Give me the over, Josh. Might as well. I'll take the over. Like I said, let's just keep that script going. Worst to first. Nick DeVos, I mentioned Yoshida too. Another, like I said, is outfield play. There's some interesting outfielders I want to see over here for the Red Sox. A lot of change this year. JD being gone as well. Seeing some of these familiar faces gone, just replacing them. I want to see, sort of this roster try to get infused with a little more youth. And obviously Devers coming back. That's massive. And let's see how much this loss of Bogaerts hurts us. Hopefully we can jump from that. I didn't want to mention it too soon, but I will mention it. But hopefully I want to see, how much the change of play, from that, from him losing him affects this team.
Yeah, that's a huge loss. Kind of to the core of the Red Sox there. We are going to invite Cam LeBlanc on in here. We have just allowed him to hop on in. So want to welcome in Cam whenever he is ready. He should be joining. Says he's connecting to the audio. So we will get him on in here and we will get rolling. Yeah, it takes a second. I know James has had his issues with it in the past, so I'm just trying to fix some of the...
Yeah, listen, James isn't the best with technology either. Jimmy is not the most tech-savvy guy out there. But listen, if he can get it...
I just want to start by saying, too, as well, huge card this weekend. Aside from the John Jones thing, as Cam kind of figures himself out here, we've got John Jones Ciryl Gane, main eventing the card. You've also got a women's champion. Here he is. Here he is. Glad to
How
have
are
you
you
on here,
doing?
man. We're doing good, man. Thanks for joining
There
the
you go,
Great to
buddy.
show.
hear.
I like the Boston, the homage to Boston in the background you got there.
Gotta have it. I mean, I heard you talking about the Yankees earlier, thinking the Sox weren't going to make the playoffs. So,
Uh-oh.
I'm ready to represent Boston on this podcast.
All right, man. Let's see it. We've
Okay, let's
got
get it.
we've got your brother coming in with a question that we will get to. For when Cam comes on, he said, "Does Sugar Sean deserve a title shot right now?"
I mean, it's tough to argue against it when you beat the number one contender, Peter Yan, in your last fight. There's not really too much left for him to go up, and where he's at in his career, I can't really see him fighting down and giving someone else an opportunity to take that spot from him. So it's been talked about. I think that's what's next. But obviously, you got Cejudo versus Aljamain coming up too. So we'll see who wins that. And then who knows? Henry could come in, win the belt, and then retire. And then we're back to square one in the division. So we'll see what happens.
I like
You
that
mentioned
one.
Henry winning that one. I don't know about that one. I think I got to back my guy Aljamain. Actually, he's not too much of my guy, but I think Aljamain's got to control this division a little. But he kind of got me enticed
Hey,
with this Sugar Sean fight against Aljamain. I mean, Aljamain, if he wins this one, I think I could definitely see that Sugar Sean. And I know there's a little controversy with that Peter Yan fight. I had a little money on that Sugar Sean, so I want to ask you about that one too. I want to get your thoughts on that one, about the controversy, and see where you landed on that one.
yeah, watching it live, I felt like Jan won 2 rounds to 1. But, watching it back, I could see where Sugar Sean outstruck him a little bit. There wasn't too much ground and pound when Peter Yan had control of the fight on the ground. So, it's tough to argue with the judges, especially watching it back. So I think that definitely, if that's what's next for him, is Aljamain. I think that the wrestling with Aljamain, your guy Aljamain, I think that could definitely cause a problem for him. We'll see what happens, but he's lanky. He can strike from a distance. I think he's definitely got a good shot.
For
I'm
sure.
excited about that fight. Give me that Sugar Sean fight for Aljamain. That's getting me excited right there. That's a good
Absolutely.
one.
So we still got some
I'd love to see
time.
it.
We're not going to get to the main. I want to save to the very end your thoughts on the main event for this card coming up. But as I said, it's stacked. We've got Bo Nickel on here. We've got a huge women's championship fight. I know you're a betting guy. If you had to put in a little parlay, cook up a little juicy parlay for some of our viewers, what are you going with?
Yeah, I don't know too many of the odds. I know the John Jones Cyril Gane fight's pretty close, but you'd be a fool to bet against John Jones. He's never been in any trouble with the judges going to decisions. So I think he comes back in. I think he gets it done. He's bulked up. He's got the wrestling to suppress the power of Cyril Gane. So I think that he gets that done. And I started off with that. Shevchenko's a lock. I'm sure she's a huge favorite. So I'm going to leave her alone.
Mine's 670.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I like Dricus Duplessis versus Derek Brunson, the 10 versus the 5 in the middleweight division. I think Duplessis coming off a big win versus Darren Till, and I think he gets it done. He's up and rising contender in the division. Brunson's kind of been one of those gatekeepers for a few years now. He got all the way up and then ends up losing to Jared Cannonier right before his title shot. So I think that Duplessis gets it done. He takes the 5th seed in the middleweight division. That's my number 2. And then my number 3 is going to be Shavkat Rakhmonov, where he's facing Geoff Neal. He is a beast. Everyone talks about Hamzat Chimaev as the next up-and-coming big guy in that division. This guy is just as good, if not better. They are bound to fight at some point, and I think everyone that he fights until then is just a stepping stone. So those are my big 3.
Josh, you hit it. Oh, man. Those are perfect 3 right there. Another one of my guys, Dreykus, helped me ahead. One of my I wouldn't say many, but one of my good amount of UFC parlays that I hit. Dreykus has been a part of a couple of them, so I always love seeing him. And like you said, Bronson, perfect placeholder for them. I think this is a huge step for him to just sort of get his name even more out there. I think he's going to put on a show. And that last one you said, Cam, perfect. I think it's going to be a sneaky fight of the night. I think Geoff Neal versus Shavmas. I'm glad you got to get him on. We got to keep Cam on for the pronunciation because I kill these guys' names. I never pronounce them right. Cam's killing me with the names, but this guy, like you said, Hazmat gets all the credit in the world. People sleep on this guy, the Nomad. This guy's a beast. But Geoff Neal,
Absolutely.
This guy can throw. He knocked out Vincent Luquetti for the first time ever in his career. That was a
Absolutely.
massive war. And I think that's gonna be a sneaky fight of the night. Because last time and that was good. Strike has had an epic match with Darren Till last time. That was just a bloodbath. That was a great
Hmm.
fight. But watch out for that Jeff Neal Shazman fight. I'll never get his name right, but this guy's gonna be the real deal next.
Yes, sir. Shavkat.
Shavkat, there we go. I still probably won't get it right, but listen, he's undefeated. He's coming in at minus, listen,
Absolutely.
like we said, John Jones minus 160, Sarah God plus 130 if you want to get a little action on that. But like I said, I'm going to agree with Cam on that one. Some people questioning, 3-year layoff. No, this guy's a freak of nature. You can't question John Jones. Take him at that minus 160. That's easy. Uh,
Hmm.
Minus 570 for the Nomad. He's just it's not too good of a parlay piece, but if you're confident some of these other ones, I want to get his thoughts on this Cody Garbrandt fight. I mean, Trevor Jones is a plus 150, 5-inch reach on him. Cody Garbrandt did not look good his last time out.
No, he did not. No, he did not. I feel like this is a make or break type situation for Cody Garbrandt. He took the division by storm, beats Dominic Cruz in a close decision, and ever since that fight, it seems like he's just fallen off fight after fight, back-to-back knockouts to TJ Dillashaw. He's been knocked out by basically anyone that he's fought besides Pedro Munoz, who he was able to miraculously get a knockout versus. Other than that, he's been on a skid. He makes his return back to 135 after fighting Kai Kara France at 25. I really like Trevin Jones. I really just think Cody Garbrandt's jaw is completely glass. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. I really don't know how he does it anymore. I mean, his last 2 losses, he goes to a 5-round decision versus Rob Font, gets picked apart for 5 rounds, and then a first-round knockout right to follow that up. So I don't think he's got much left in the tank. He's always a threat with the big right hand. He loves to fight in the pocket. So if Trevin Jones doesn't use that reach, it could go Cody's way. I just don't see too many ways he wins the fight.
We've got James, who is usually on our show. He's commenting in. He says one of the unreal fights on the card, Gomrot versus Turner. Who do you got in that one?
Go here. I know who's going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a toss-up. This is really a toss-up for me. Gamrot's coming off a big loss to Dariush, but he was on a 5-fight win streak before that. Dariush is pretty much a contender at this point. He should fight next for the belt. He gets skipped over time and again, but I think Gamrot has a lot of skills. He's super well-rounded. I love Jalen Turner. He is huge. He's long. He's 6'2" compared to Gamrot 5'8". I mean, he's got the reach. He's got the height. All he's got to do is keep his distance, and he can strike from anywhere as well. I think he might get a finish, especially after watching how Dariush clipped up Gamrot. I think Jalen Turner could be for a finish, whatever the odds are on that. Maybe a little sprinkle there for the viewers. But, yeah, I like that.
James was saying the same. He said he's got Turner in that one.
That's my sprinkle, Josh, too. I know me and Jimmy were talking about it today, but another UFC parlay guy for Jalen Turner. For myself, he's helped me out a couple times in there. Like Cam mentioned, I mean, this guy's just massive. Like those 77-inch reach, he's going to have a 7-inch reach on him. I know, hate to be the reach guy, but you got to throw that out there. And some of these ones, especially with a guy like Gamrot, who loves to take to the mat. But like you said last time with Camp, I mean, Belarus just kind of dinged him up every time, took him wherever he wanted. Gamrot's wrestling just didn't work against him. I think Jalen Turner is going to employ that same technique against him. Like we said, this one, if you want a dog, this is the dog I'm going to back. I mean, plus 150. I think they're giving Gamrot a little too much credit on this one. And I know we got a couple. Mitch was asking about the Bo Nickel hype too. It's real, but I'm just gonna put this one on there. I mean, Jamie Pickett's. This isn't really gonna be a fight. Bo Nickel's gonna tear him apart. We're probably gonna have to see the next one to see a real test with Bo Nickel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if you watch this Contender Series fights, he had 2 as I really don't know why they gave him 2. Basically, just to give him another pro fight so he couldn't come in at 2-0. He ran through these 2 people. I mean, poor guys. They finally get a shot at the UFC. They run into a 3-time national wrestling champion from Penn State who mauls them. I don't think either one lasted 3 minutes. I know the first one was about 50 seconds. So I don't see anyone beating him until he gets into that top 5. I think he runs through this division, makes pretty quick work of it. I mean, he is the best wrestler in the division already, and he hasn't even made his UFC debut yet. So that's how I look at that. If everyone remembers when Masvidal was fighting Colby, fighting Usman, The number one guy that they bring in for his camp, Bo Nickel, 3-time national champ. Everyone has nothing but good things to say about him. You'd be foolish to bet against him.
Yeah, he's a minus 2,200. Sorry, Josh. I'll
No,
put
you're
that in there.
good.
He's the lock, and I mean, the hype's there and everything. But I just, the opponent right now, Jamie Pickett, this guy gets teared apart. He's just, the guy you bring in for these hype guys. Put a display on, for Bo Nickel to introduce him to the UFC community. If you haven't even already heard of him, like Cam mentioned, you probably have. He's 3-time national champion at Penn State. This guy's unreal. I just wanted to hang on that Dana White series contender. They got a couple other guys I want to just bring up. Cameron Simon in the early prelims. This guy is going to be a stud. This guy is from South Africa. He's going to be unreal. And Farhad Basharat. And I'm just going to butcher these guys' two names. But these guys, I've watched their fights in the Dana White series. These guys can throw. These guys are going to be serious contenders going forward. And Esteban Ribovacs. It's plus 215 now to start off the fight. You got a new opponent, Alaki. I don't want to butcher his last name, but a couple of young bloods in this card too. So I think this is a really good UFC card. If you really want to get infused in the sport and sort of start to know some of these young names and top it off with one of the greatest of all time with John Jones, this is a great card to watch.
Absolutely. And another young stud you didn't mention, Ian Gary, making his fourth appearance in the UFC. Yeah. Big Irish guy. He thinks he's the next McGregor, but he can actually really strike. He gets clowned a lot on social media for trying to be too much like Conor, but he can actually fight. He's got a ton of skills. He can strike from a distance. He had a vicious knockout in his UFC debut. Since then, 2 dominant decisions. I'm expecting a big performance for him, something breakout, another big stage. He's on that ESPN prelim card, so I think he makes a lot of noise. He's the guy I'm looking forward to most on those undercards.
I like it. Obviously not as versed as you two in the UFC. However, I had a little question here before we get to the main card, and obviously it seems like we've kind of have this feeling like we all agree John Jones is going to win. However, before we get there, guys like John Jones, Sugar Sean, Conor McGregor, I'm not crazy about this guy, but like Paddy, Pimblett, they all have that like it factor. One guy who I've been watching a little bit, he's 11-2 from Australia. He was on the last card, and I want to know if Cam knows who I'm getting to here. Jack Maddalena. What are your thoughts on him? I like him. I think he's got potential. I know James was one of the first people to kind of put him in my ear. I think he's got what it takes to kind of... I'm not saying he's going to be the next Conor McGregor or anything like that, but I think that this is a good fighter who could take the next leap. What are your thoughts, Cam?
Yeah, no, I like him a lot. I think he's due for a big fight in the UFC. I think the last fight was by far his biggest competition, and he made mincemeat of that. So I think you finally get him on a big card, similar to this card, down the line, maybe International Fight Week in July. Get him on a big stage, let the world know a little bit more about him. It doesn't seem like he gets the spotlight as much for, like you said, he's 11-2. He's in nothing but exciting fights. He knows how to finish. Anywhere he can finish everyone. I think he's on a three finish streak right now, but he's one of those guys where you really want to watch him fight if he's going to fight. Not one of the big names right now, like you said, Paddy Pimblett, all those guys that have the hype. He's got the skill. Once he gets that hype, once he gets on that big stage, I'm sure that the fans will follow.
For sure.
He's got that knockout power, Josh. He's unreal too. And I mean, like I said, like we were mentioning, these guys too. Great call from Cam on Ian Gary too. Just 2 guys. I mean, 2 polarizing guys I could think of. I mean, Ian Gary and Dricus du Plessis. I never get his name right, but I mean, these guys are just 2 guys that are just going to be, they're going to put on a show every time they're out there. And I'm glad they're on this card. I'm glad they're going to get some spotlight for them because these guys put on an entertaining fight every time they're out there. And I can't forget about Jalen Turner. We mentioned him over there. So I can't wait for some of these polarizing guys too.
Oh, for sure. We've got Joey Femia coming in. Do you think there will be another fighter as polarizing as Conor in the UFC, Cam?
As polarizing as Conor, I think that's the goal for almost everyone that decides to take that route as the social media, get the fans behind you, big post-fight interview. There's a lot of fighters who have the skill that just would rather be low-key and don't want that hype. If anyone's going to get there, it's going to be Sugar Sean. I think he's got the skill and the mouth to back it up. Can be a little corny at times, but I'm a big Sugar Sean guy. I think Patty Pimblett could get there too. Unfortunately, he's way better at talking than he is fighting. I think, his last fight versus Josh Gordon, or Jared Gordon, excuse me, I think that was a terrible decision, to be honest. I thought that it definitely went to Jared. I think you're going to run it back, but he just announced he's got some injuries that he's got to deal with. Surgery, I think, is going to keep him out till the end of the year. So who knows what's next for him there. If he can get some big wins, he's definitely a name to keep an eye out for. Obviously, Hamzat, he's just compelling to watch in anything that he does. He can talk, and the accent, he's controversial a little bit, but one of the best guys in the entire division, both divisions that he fights in, 170 and 185. You match him up with anyone, it'll be a great fight. So those three, probably the last one and the first one the most, but definitely those three.
Yeah, you gotta go Sugar Sean. I mean, there was a debate for Patty, but like Cam said, perfectly said with that. It's just that was a bad decision. You can't get around it. Obviously I had some money on Patty, so I was happy, but I just thought I lost. It was Jared's fight. I know there's always this big debate, punches are wrestling more, but he just controlled that whole fight. I know it was on the ground. I know it was boring, but he controlled it. Patty got a couple good shots in round 3, but he won 2 out of 3 rounds. If you're even going to give him that, probably won all 3 if you're really going to look at it. So it was a little tough one. He probably wished he was fighting Josh Gordon. Probably a little more relaxed. Hopefully Josh Gordon, probably a little more relaxed for him in that one. But Patty, I think he's just like you mentioned. I just don't think he's at that skill level yet. I just don't think, because I mean, if you're going to have a controversy against a type of fighter against Peter Yan versus Jared Gordon, there's a clear skill level between those two fighters. No offense to Jared Gordon, he's a great fighter, but I mean, he went toe to toe with Peter Yan, so that's a huge step for Sugar Sean and got the victory over there. So I think it's Sugar Sean. I'm gonna have to agree with him on that one. Who's got the most sort of route to be as polarizing as Connor? But I mean, Connor, I don't think there's going to be anybody. There's just really just such a good combination of talking and just skill to back it up, and just the fights he's put on with the Diaz's and just sort of all these other classic match just trilogies and everything he did for the sport. It's going to be tough to do, but I'll give it a Sugar Sean. He's got a shot.
Absolutely, couldn't have said it better.
Before we let you go, final question.
That last question.
We're gonna.
I see one there. I don't know where you're going with this one, Josh. I hope he's going to this one.
Who do you got? Jon Jones gone, and I'm pretty sure I know your answer. So if you do go with Jones, what's next for Jones? Because it seems like that's where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of Jon Jones fans think. Ciryl Gane, he's no slouch, and he got pretty much mauled by Francis, but Francis became a wrestler. The hardest hitting guy in the history of the UFC became a wrestler because of how good this guy's striking is. So you got to keep that in mind. Jon Jones, if you want to compare Francis Ngannou's skill on the ground to Jon Jones, it's not close. I think Jon Jones gets the fight to the ground early. Maybe he'll stand and strike with him, see what he is. I mean, he's been bulking up from 250. I'm sure he gets like a truck right now. He's been bulking up for 3 years. So we'll see if he stands and strikes, but this fight will end on the ground, whether it be by the fifth round decision or Jon Jones finishes him with the ground and pound. Ciryl Gane's going to the ground, and it will be finished there.
I like that one. And who's next for Jones then?
I think it's tough. I think who's going to be there. Stipe is going to be there. I think that's an interesting fight. I don't know how much Stipe has in the tank. Jon Jones is just different breed. I just don't know if Stipe at this stage of his career, if he can hang with him. But Jon Jones hasn't fought in 3 years, and he is moving up a weight class. Heavyweight, you always have that right hand. There's always that eliminator. You can be down 4 rounds to nothing. Look at Derek Lewis versus Volkov. You can be around 4 rounds to nothing. You get one shot in the 5th, it's over. So I think Stipe is probably next. We'll see what happens with Ngannou. I want him back in the UFC. I think Jones and Ngannou was the fight that everyone wanted to see. Obviously, UFC couldn't get the deal done, but I think either one of those two guys, if not that, fights I'm excited for with Jon Jones the heavyweight. Maybe Curtis Blades, maybe Sergey Pavlovich, but outside of those 5, I really can't think of someone else.
I like it. Be good, Josh. I want to step in there. just get one more from Dylan Kelly. Dylan, shout out to Dylan for this one. But Dylan wanted to know who would win a fight, Mitch versus Cam. We got a little brother on brother action, UFC.
I got the height, got the reach.
There we go.
So
All right. There we go. All right. Simple enough from Cam on there. I just want to slip that one in there, Josh. We got to get it from him.
One last
yeah,
one.
Thank you, Mush.
One last one before we go. Charlie, Mitch getting behind this one. It was actually Charlie's comment. Is DC taking his blessings to announce the fight? I know there's a lot of bad blood between John Jones and DC.
Yeah. I mean, DC is calling the fight. Joe Rogan's back on the fight too. So, the original pay-per-view broadcast team will be there. John Anik will be there. John Jones tweeted out a lot of respect for Daniel Cormier this week. He had a lot of good things to say about his career and his skill and their rivalry, basically burying the bone. I'm sure there's still bad blood on Cormier. It's a lot easier to bury the hatchet when you're up 2-0 in the matchup. So I'm sure there's still bad blood on the Cormier side, but he'll be professional at the end of the day. If he can be professional calling his teammates' fights, I see no difference in the Jones fight, especially, Jones is the GOAT.
I like that, calling him the GOAT. Just wanted to say thank you, Cam, for joining. Of course, we would love to have you on again. We've got a huge card later on in the year. Connor, that's a big one. So, again, thank you for joining, man. As always, been a pleasure. And any final thoughts before you go?
No, thank you guys for having me. I'd love to be back. We'll see the next big card that comes around. That's probably the biggest one for a while. Still probably the summertime, if I had to guess, maybe till Stylebender fights again. I don't know when that date is. Yeah. But, yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. Thanks for everything. And let me know if you have any more questions.
Thanks for joining,
It's
man.
always appreciated, Cam. You're the man. UFC expert.
Have a good night, boys.
You too, man.
You too, my brother. Too.
Peace out.
See ya.
Good brother.
Alrighty.
That UFC expert over there, Josh. There's another one big too. Sorry, Josh. A little March, Leon Edwards versus Usman. A little later on in the month, on the March 18th. A little rematch over there. So maybe we have him on for that. You never know. Kim's a good UFC guy for us. Really goes in deep.
Oh, 100%. He knows his stuff. Glad to have him on. He was great. Nice getting a couple laughs in there. Just want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Seems like all three of us have John Jones winning this fight. It's kind of just the general consensus there. However, Bruins are going to keep rolling. Celtics as well. Very interested to see the Celtics down this stretch. By the next time we come next week, we'll see what happens if they are able to kind of take on the Knicks and the Cavs. They can beat both those teams. Again, thank you to everybody for tuning in. I will sign it over to Ben as always.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate everyone joining too. Shout out to Cam too. It was just a great little session with him talking UFC. Love talking a little UFC with everybody. And love seeing everybody get involved in the comments and huge viewership numbers today. So appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Celtics rolling, Bruins rolling, Josh. And just the last one, everyone go check out UFC 285. Go John Jones.